right. Thank you, David. I'm really excited to have Cory here today. Cory Lee actually came and spoke to all of us here at the Rehab Center last year and did an amazing job. And I thank Carol Lupton for getting him to speak today. Cory is an entrepreneur, a business leader, a leader developer. He is the founder of Pro Therapy and Human Performance Center. Cory is a speaker, coach, and trainer, has been trained and mentored by the world-renowned leadership expert John Maxwell. Through his own leadership journey, Cory has become deeply passionate about helping other leaders develop their unique gifts, maximize their strengths, and discover the untapped potential that they possess. Cory and his wife, Kimberly, have been married for 14 years and have 3 children, Colton, Kendall, and Brady. Cory, great to have you today. Appreciate you being on, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Robbie. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on and get the opportunity to share with you. As Robbie said, I kind of do speaking, coaching, and training. And my number one goal, anytime I get the opportunity to come speak, especially around leaders, is to add value. So that's my number one goal, is to add value to you. And hopefully you can take at least one thing that you can apply to grow yourself and to grow your team. And I know every one of us on here are leaders, and I love being around other leaders. One thing that jumped out to me as Amanda was talking, she was talking about, be the change, and we want to be that change. It reminded me of one of my favorite poems. I just wanted to quickly share with you guys real quick before we jump in. But I love this. It's called Change the World. Maybe some of you have heard it, but this is how it goes. It says, when I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I could not change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change the town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realized the only thing I can change is myself, and suddenly I realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I indeed could have changed the world. And I just love that. I think that's good stuff right there. And one of the things I've had the opportunity over the last probably, I guess, 2 or 3 years, get to work with some of the leaders and entrepreneurs in our community, and some young leaders. And I'm telling you, we have some bright, talented, and gifted young leaders. And as I work with them, I think the future for our community is really bright, and I'm excited about coming alongside of them. And I can see that our community, I can see it as a regional hub. I see it as somewhere that creativity and innovation flows through. I see it being attractive to leaders, to new businesses, and to families. And I think our future for our community is bright. So excited about that. Well, when Carol asked me to speak, I started thinking about you guys and what is it that I could share with you that would add the most value to you. And I know it's the beginning of the year, and you guys have probably thought about some goals, some direction, some things that you want to accomplish within this new year. And I just wanted to share with you real quick 4 things that I have found that will prevent leaders and their teams from reaching their goals in this year. And this comes from personal experience. It also comes from working with other leaders. So real quick, 4 traps or 4 barriers to prevent you and your team from reaching your goals. So number 1 is we fall into this comparison trap. We fall into this comparison trap. And what we tend to do is we tend to compare ourselves to other people. We'll compare our journey to someone else's journey. We'll see somebody that may be having a little bit more success than us, and we may get frustrated, throw our hands up, or we'll see somebody that we're getting a little bit more success than and maybe get complacent and content. And I had a mentor tell me one time, he said, Cory, when you get to heaven, God isn't going to ask you why you weren't more like Mother Teresa. He's going to ask you why you weren't more like you. Why weren't you more like the Cory Lee I designed and created you to be, right? So we don't want to compare ourselves to other people. We compare ourselves to our potential, the thing inside of you, that calling inside of you. But there's this trap within this comparison trap that I think is even worse. And it's what we tend to do is we compare our potential to our current results. We look at our current results. We have this inspired idea come in and we look at our current results and we'll say, that doesn't match. That's too big. I've never done anything like that before. And we say it's too big. And I just want to ask you, you know, kind of take a look around at your room. Just kind of look around all the way around your room. And is your room, the room you're in right now, is it big or small? And as you look around, the answer is compared to what, right? You compared to what? So if I compare my room that I'm in to my bathroom downstairs, this room's pretty big. But if I compare my room to the Bancorp South Arena downtown, then this room's, I mean, it's pretty small, right? But the room didn't change. The height, the width, the dimensions, none of that changed. The room stayed the same. What I compared it to did change, right? The room isn't big or small. It just is. And it's the same thing with this inspired idea. It's not big or small. And when we compare it to where we currently are and we say it doesn't match, it's not going to match. Our current results are coming from our past performance. And this idea is coming from our future potential. So number one is we don't want to compare ourselves to other people, right? Or to our current results. Number two is a barrier that I see a lot that I've fallen into as well, and it's incorrect use of imagination. Incorrect use of imagination. I love imagination. I love ideas, right? I love ideas. Our kids, Mr. Robbie told you how old our kids were. They're 9, 6, and 4, and they hear the word idea. They'll pop up like some prairie dogs, you know, and say, "Ooh, Daddy loves ideas," and I do. And it's because everything you see first started out as an idea, right? Everything you see started out as an idea in somebody's mind. This Zoom call that we're on, Zoom started out as somebody's idea, right? Wouldn't it be awesome to have that idea, or the one that came up with that? But in the book, Think and Grow Rich, is one of my favorite books. And he has this quote in there, and he says that man's only limitation within reason lies in the development and the use of his imagination. And when I say our use of our imagination is a barrier, the thing is we all have an imagination and we all use our imagination. We can choose to use our imagination to come up with all the worst case scenarios or all the reasons why something could go wrong or the reasons why something is impossible to do. Or we can use our imagination to come up with plans and to create solutions and think of ways to make something possible, right? Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I went out to a conference and I was flying back home on this airplane, and I had this idea just pop into my mind. And, you know, I did the whole thing like, oh, that's too big. I ain't never done nothing like that before. I don't know nothing about that. And the idea was a 3-story mixed use development in downtown Tupelo. Now I'm in the physical therapy world and entrepreneur world. I don't know anything about developing businesses, right? Or developing buildings. But the idea just kind of kept coming back and coming back and coming back. So I started toying with the idea. Can I do that? Is that something I can do? And then finally, I put a how in front of the can I. How can I? How can I triggers the creative use of our imagination. I just want to say with you, I know I'm in a room full of leaders and you probably have goals and big dreams and those kind of things. And sometimes you have doubts creep in. And I want to say this, if you ever doubt your ability to bring that idea forward, I want you to go outside at night. And I want you to look up at the moon and know and remember there are footprints on the moon. That's crazy, right? There are footprints on the moon. I saw this the other day. They are now 3D printing hearts for a heart transplant. Like, I mean, it has the valves and the aorta. It's got all of it, right? It's amazing. I don't know about you guys, but I know the goals that I'm after. can't be as difficult to figure out as putting footprints on the moon or 3D printing a heart for a heart transplant. So that's number 2. Number 3 is lack of persistence. Lack of persistence. John Maxwell, one of the things he says is that if you'll focus on one thing or one subject for 5 years, you'll become an expert in that area. And then the transition really isn't how long is this going to take, but how far can I go? Lack of persistence is a weakness that is common to the majority of people. Most people, what they do is we stop at that first sign of opposition. But there are a few people who carry on despite all opposition. And I just want to share this real quick is, it really, in persistence, it comes down to using our will. And when I say will, I'm not talking about willpower where we force things, force negates. Will, again, is an intellectual faculty that we have. It's our ability to stay focused on one thought and one idea to the exclusion of all other thoughts or ideas. And here's the power in this. Any of you guys like to go to Destin for vacation, or anybody like a beach? Y'all like the beach? Yeah. Yeah, I do too, right? So we can go down to Destin. I'm a pale white dude, right? I can go out there with no sunscreen on. In about 10 minutes, I'm as red as a lobster, right? Sun's beaming down. I'm red as a lobster. But I can take a piece of glass and I can hold it between the sun. I can harness the power. I can focus the power of that sun and put it on my skin. Same sun, same energy. It's just focused, and I can, boom, burn a hole through my skin. And that's what I'm talking about when we use our will. It's the ability to stay focused on that goal, focused on that vision. And here's what I see most of us do when we fall or when we mess up here is, and I'm just going to use a financial number, right? We set a goal. We're going to say, this year I'm going to earn $200,000, right? And we get to about June. We get halfway through the year. And in June, we're not even a quarter of a way to the goal, right? And what most people do is they take the goal and they shrink it to match the plan that they're on. And what I'm saying is, if this is truly your goal, don't change the goal, change the plan, right? Take the plan and chunk it out the window. It's obviously not working. Find you a new plan, and you persist without exception in finding you a plan that'll take you to the goal. It's the sustained focus on one thought or one idea. Last one, and we'll kind of wrap it up, is you've got to be committed to growth. You've got to make the commitment to growth. In Proverbs, it talks about, wisdom is one of the most valuable commodities. So buy it, right? Invest in it. And you have to invest in growth. But the thing is, growth isn't automatic. It's something we have to be intentional about. It doesn't happen in a day. We wish it did, but it happens in our daily habits. And a couple of things I found about growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better. And if we're not growing today, then we are today all we will ever be. And what that means for me at 35 years old, if I am not growing, then this is as good as it's going to get for this 35-year-old. And that does not excite me, right? That's not very exciting to me. And I know if we're going to continue to add value to people, then we must make ourselves more valuable. Robbie mentioned that our oldest son, he's 9, he's in the 4th grade. And not too long ago, I was doing the math homework with him. And I was like, doggone, these kids are learning in 4th grade what I can remember learning in high school, right? And, I was thinking about that. Change is happening so rapidly. And it's not just happening in education, it's happening in every single industry and every single sector, right? And if we're not growing, we're not just standing still, my friends, we're getting left behind, right? So 4 barriers that you need to be mindful of as you are going out leading your team and leading your organizations is number 1, we have to use our imagination correctly. We don't compare ourselves to other people. Number 3 is we lack persistence. So stay focused on that goal. Don't change the goal, change the plan. And then the last one is make that commitment to growth. And I just want to say I do appreciate you guys and allowing me to come in and share. And I hope it has added value to you. I hope it has. I know it's real quick there, but I want to be mindful of your time. And one thing I know about our time is that it's our most valuable asset, right? It's something we'll never get back. And anytime you do anything, you're literally trading your life away for that activity in that moment. And my goal is to make this a worthy trade of your time. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Robbie, and thank you all.
Okay, great. Good job, Cory. Thank you. We have questions for Cory.
Hey, Cory, did you see to fruition this downtown project? You kind of alluded to that and didn't tell us.
Yeah, so we have the Legacy at Fair Park that we have started on, and that has been a awesome journey. And I tell you, the city has been big time helpful, and I've learned a lot through that. We've actually kind of hit a snag in that right now. You know, we were right on the cusp of getting going there, and then I think we had 3 tenants who were going to be ready to go. And when coronavirus hit, all 3 of them were directly impacted by the coronavirus. 2 of them were in the medical field. And when that came along, they were already thinking about going to an online model. That kind of shifted their model to that. And, but we're still trucking right along and looking for tenants and looking for partners, but it's been great. But that's where we are right now. Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
What are you reading?
Oh, what am I reading? You know what? I like that, Rob. I'm always reading something. So I've got 2 books going on right now. One's more in the faith-based, and then one is we are doing with a couple men's group that we're doing. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's about kind of financial, how to handle finances. And the other one is how to rekindle the fire, the altar fire. So that should be an interesting one. Yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, Cory, thanks, sir. Appreciate you being here. And it wouldn't be a new year without surprises, and I'm surprised I did not go by my agenda. I have 2 birthdays today. Hey.